Okay, so I'm having an issue with my F-150. The other day when I was leaving a place, at the first light it stalled out on me, and it like chugged, and then I was pulling out at a red light and it stalled, and I had to pull over, and then it started right up again. So right now I'm in park, and she seems to be running all right. I'm at about 1100 RPMs. So she seems to shift through reverse and drive fine. Now I'm down to about 7,000 RPMs and I can feel it chugging. Can you hear that? It's like chugging. It's like sounding like it's wanting to die right there. It's chugging. I'm giving it gas here. I can hear it go, coasting at about 9,000 RPMs. So I'm at a stop here. Got some cars coming, so I'm gonna see what it does when I accelerate here. So alright, so I'm coming up to a stop here. She seemed to accelerate all right there. And it just doesn't seem, it seems like it's kind of like laggy. Like it doesn't want to accelerate like it should. So right now I'm coming to a stop and I'm gonna see if it chugs out at all. I'm not hearing it chug when I'm stopping. And the temperature right now is 54. Some people say this is related to a like when the temperature gets colder, which it has started doing this. It's November like 7th right now, and it's been getting colder, and it started doing this acceleration issue. And it seems to do it more after I first started up. It kind of did it when I first started. I can just hear something's not right though. No, yeah, of course when I make a video it doesn't want to do the stalling. And then I hear something else. Yeah, I know my radiator fan somehow now hitting the fan shroud, which could cause resistance on the fan in the belt, maybe making it stuck. It just kind of like chugs before I... Well, yeah, it's kind of just chugging, like it's stalled out. It doesn't seem to stall out when I'm coming to a stop. Just kind of like it chugs when I get going. I think I'm hearing my fan rubbing, which I can show that in another video. I got some people here. Alright, well, that's what it did. Ford, I'll tell you. This is a 2000 Ford F-150, the 4.6 liter, the 4x4. And I'm having issues where I'm having a rough start accelerating. It's stalled out on me a couple times now. And there's many things that could be causing this, but I noticed I installed it when I got the truck. It had this aftermarket intake, and the air filter that I had on there was super old and bad, and I replaced it with this new one. And I knew it was a little bit bigger, so I didn't ever notice that it was rubbing. So if you can see like, it's kind of hard to tell out, it's dark out, but um right along here it's like black, and I didn't know why that would be black. And then if you can see on the frame here, the edge of this air filter is rubbing on my hood here. And I think that's part of my problem, is this is causing metal shards to rub on here, and it's clogging up my air filter, and I think it's gotten into here where now I'm gonna have to clean out the MAF, the mass airflow sensor, and I'm even gonna clean out the idle air intake and a few other things. So this is just my first. I'm gonna I think cut a hole out right here to make a gap so it doesn't hit, and then maybe I can maybe put a pad on here. But I'm gonna take this off and use compressed air and blow it out and shot back and try and get this as clean as I could. And otherwise my option is to get a different air filter that doesn't hit the hood. So I'm gonna try and clean this filter up and get it so I'm not hitting this before I start to clean out other stuff that I think this has damaged. That's why I'm starting with the intake. Otherwise it could be fuel related, electrical related, you know, you're chugging out could be a couple different things. But I'm gonna do the intake here. That's where I'm starting, because I feel like that could be what is causing my stalling out. We'll see though. Probably not. So I have black residue building up here from this hitting right there, and I'm gonna take off my air filter here. It's pretty straightforward. You got a clamp right here that you just unscrew this and then get that clamp loose and just slide the air filter off. It's as simple as that, but not with one hand, I guess. See, as simple as that. Make sure, yeah, you get this loose enough. Nah, everything's always harder to do holding the phone. See if I can set this here. Give you a little tilt. And then, what the? Boom. Oh yeah. It just slides off and got the O-ring here. So what I'm gonna do is try and clean this up with a compressed air or a shot vac, clean it out as much as I can. There's the inside of it. Yeah, so that's my first step. This is aftermarket, so it's bigger. That's why it was hitting on the edge to my ceiling there, putting shards through my intake into there, into the throttle body. Right, so next is to remove the mass airflow sensor. That's this part right here. This rubber right here is just an extender and your pipe here. So I'm going to be cleaning this out with mass airflow sensor cleaner. So take that out, get that out of the way. I'm just going to leave that in here, and then unscrew these, get this one loose, and then there's an 8mm nut that goes right on the brake booster there. You see that hole? That's where this nut unscrews from. So that's 8mm, and then you'll have to free that loose. Ooh, watch that cord. Get that out of the way, and then be careful with this. You don't want to move it around and jostle that mass airflow sensor around. So yeah, I'm going to be using mass airflow sensor cleaner, and I'm going to give this whole system a good cleaning. There's a sensor in there you're going to want to spray, so you'll spray the mass airflow sensor down on the sensor there. So that's that. Just be careful. Keep these where they go, and then here's your next step. Alright, so after you got the mass airflow removed, I'm taking this part of the intake off. So there's 2 bolts on this side of the cover and 1 bolt on that side. There's just some holes right there. These are 8 on the left and 10 millimeter on this side. So unscrew those and remove your cover. And then you're gonna have a sensor here. Unplug that, put it out of the way, and then you got this longer hose that goes into your valve cover there on the driver's side. That's where the longer one goes. And then you have your shorter one here that just loops back underneath your idle air controller. So I'm gonna unscrew these hoses here. Get that loose. Make sure to keep these O-clamps on the hose, so then slide that off. Keep that on there. You can maybe retighten it even too to keep it on there tight. And then make sure they're loose. Kind of just give it a wiggle and pull it off. And then you're gonna have to loosen that other clamp here to get it off the throttle body there. Yeah, loosen this guy. You don't gotta go super loose. And then give this a wiggle, be careful, and then pop it out. And then now you can access your throttle body, which I do see some gunk built up, which is why I'm cleaning this here. And I'm gonna clean that, but I'm just getting to the throttle body here, so I'm gonna clean this tube out too. I'm not sure what that sensor is, I forget. I'll have to figure that out. I might even just change that just cause. That's what that looks like. What sensor is that? But anyways, yeah, that gets you, get you that part off here. The 2000 F150, the 4.6, and this is changing the idle air control. I'm having some issues with my truck stalling and idling rough, so you're gonna need to take this cover off. There's two 8mm bolts on this side, and then a 10mm on that side. So unscrew those, take this cover off. This is pretty straightforward. You can see this is your idle air controller right here. And mine's new because I replaced it, but I had another issue where I need to clean it out. So it's pretty easy. There's just them 2 bolts and then your plug here. So just pop your plug loose, and then these are 8mm. So crack those loose. I'm using a deep socket, so just crack these loose, and hopefully I can just, so that's the one here. I'm just gonna undo it, and then I'm gonna be cleaning this idle air control out. There's the one. So it's pretty easy if you wanna, I mean the part's cheap enough, but I just bought the part, and I had some metal rubbing on my air filter getting in, so I think it clogged it up. So I'm just gonna give it a good cleaning, and hopefully that'll help with my idle. I don't have any codes on, but for as easy as this part is to clean, buy a cheap new one and replace, it's not a bad place to start. So and then there's a gasket on there too, so that connects onto the throttle there, and then your EGR is going right there too, which that's part of, I'm gonna have to take to when I get to that. But yeah, that's just taking off your throttle. Don't lose that gasket though either. So I want to turn it. There's a gasket right on top there. Inspect your gasket too. Your new one should come with one, but if you're just cleaning it, make sure not to damage your gasket. So yeah, so to clean it, See if I can get some light in here. So to clean it, yeah, you're gonna want to spray some carb cleaner down in there and keep it upright so you don't drip on the sensor. So yeah, you're gonna want to spray it like this in there. So that's what I'm gonna do here. I don't really have a good spot, but yeah, it's pretty easy. Alright, so now you need to remove this spring that's connected to your throttle here. So be careful so it doesn't shoot back at you. Alright, well, I can't get that holding the camera. So then you're gonna have to take this out. This is your throttle cable that opens that. So you pull it forward. It's hard to do when I hold the phone. And then you pull that wire up to get that ball out. And then you gotta disconnect this also, which just pops right off. Oh, maybe I'll see if I can. Where are we at here? So, yeah, you gotta pull this forward and then pull out that little thing that slides in, and then that's out of the way, and then unhook that spring, and then this guy is for your push it forward and then pop it off. Get these out of the way. That's your speed control if you have speed control. So yeah, get those 3 things. Undo that, your power or your speed control, and then your spring here. Get them unhooked from your throttle body. So right here is your PCV valve, your positive crankshaft or whatever, and it goes, this is just the casing and covering, and then it plugs into a hose underneath that, and then it kind of turns into a pipe. So I changed this out not too long ago, and then I changed out this end here too, so the PCV valve should not be a problem. And then it's that big one that comes up back around into the back of here, which that's plugged in good. So, but that is the PCV valve, where that comes back around, crankshaft valve or whatever. So that seems to be fine. Alright, so once you get all this off, you're gonna have a hose here on the side of, yeah, your throttle body here. So get this off. Come on. And just kind of wiggle it. It's always harder. There she goes. Yeah. So then this is part of your evap, and then that, like, your electrical on it, and then it's got a hose. It's that, the wire, the red and the white wire that come back, come over, and then you see it comes up into your EGR. Not the valve, but the solenoid. And then the other one, as you can see, this wire still comes up, and then it goes into your EGR. And then that's gonna have to come unplugged too. Just pop that off. So that's your EGR one. Your EGR valve is that right there, and that's gonna have to come off too. So I got that hose off where it connects to the EGR. That'll have to be that's a whole separate thing. I'm just gonna actually just throw it on there for now, not all the way, just so. Then there's this hose here that goes to your vapor canister. This was on there good, but this hose looks a little brittle, so I'll probably replace this hose. It just Yeah, that hose is looking like it's in rough shape, so slide that off. Make sure you know where that goes back on, onto there. And then you have your hose back here that loops back around into your PCV valve. That goes back around. And if you can't get this off with it in, you can, nope, yeah, it's going. So yeah, pop this off. Get that off and then just kind of get it out of the way. All right, so then yeah, you got your hoses disconnected. And then next, I'm gonna remove the idle air intake to get it out of the way. So to do that, pop off the electrical and then remove these two 8mm. So then you gotta get the idle air control out of here. There's two 8mm that you crack loose and then undo the power thing. And then there's a gasket on here, so be careful not to lose that gasket. So get that out of the way with your other stuff here. And then I'm gonna take off the throttle body sensor there. And then that's just two screws there. That hose might be in the way to get at these two screws, but then there you got your plug. Unplug it and then remove them two screws. Alright, so I'm removing the EGR valve on my 2000 F150. You got to remove this air hose, and then there's this needs to get out of the way right here. Going to your brake booster, there's this air hose, and then it comes right here, and then it comes, and then it's got this bracket on here that you're gonna have to take this nut off to get to your EGR, and then it's got the pipe that comes and then plugs into your throttle body. So you have to remove that hose from the back and then unmove this nut. That's what I'm doing here next. All right, so what I did is I unscrewed this 10mm off of this post here that was on here. There's the 10mm that I unscrewed, and then that was connected on there. So then pull this out, and it goes to your brake booster. Get it out of the way. So now there's a nut right here you have to take off. And then this post, you gotta take off there too. After you take that nut off, pull the thing off, then you gotta remove this nut too. And then here is a 1 1¼ inch nut that you're gonna have to remove this pipe in order to get that disconnected. So that's what I'm doing next here. So once you have that other stuff out of the way, disconnected, you can get your 1 1/16 inch wrench on this nut here and then loosen that nut and remove this pipe here. So yeah, get on that nut and then take that off. You can probably use an adjustable wrench, but you can get that 1 1/16 in there. So yeah, remove that nut and pipe. Alright, so you can see I got this nut off on the EGR. It's kind of, that's not good. Okay, yeah. So then you can get it back and keep that loose. I would spray that with PB Blaster ahead of time, definitely. That's going to be your hardest part to get out, probably. Alright, so need to get this nut off here. Crack it loose. And that's a 10mm. And make sure not to drop it. So I'm going to unscrew that without the camera so I don't drop it. So this is what the first bolt on the EGR valve looks like. It's on the left side. And then this is the other one that you gotta unscrew. Be careful not to lose that washer. And then you have the pipe disconnected. And then you have your air top disconnected, and be careful, there's a gasket in there then when you take this off. Pull that off. And then there's your EGR valve. And then there's the gasket. So I'm going to clean that up before I'm going to clean that all out. And then clean up the gasket before putting it back on. I hope this is still good. Cleaning out the throttle body. So get your EGR off. And then we can start taking the throttle body off the plenium. So this is an 8mm, and I'm taking off the throttle body. So you have this one, and then there's that one there, and that one there. So unscrew those four and take off your throttle body off the plenium. Alright, so I have these 4 bolts cracked loose. Just gonna undo these, so then I still have my throttle position sensor there, which is kind of blocked by where the idle air intake. Alright, see how it's loose? So then there's the gasket in there. I got these 4 loose. Let's take these off. Actually, don't lose the nuts. I like get these bottom ones out first, just because they're harder to get to. Not a whole lot harder, but just get that out. And then, yeah, your other one down here. So, yeah, just reach in there. I'm cleaning out this whole throttle body with it out of the truck. Alright, so I'm just going here just to see it come off. Come on. Go. Alright, so these are, like I said, 8mm. Be careful, you don't want to move your sensor too much. So you can see there's a gasket also in here. And come on. So make sure you don't drop that gasket. Get this last one. It's kind of going in and out on me. Alright. I had to switch. So, boom. Alright. So then make sure to grab the gasket too. Oh, look at that gasket. Look at this here. This gasket's ripped here. So I have a new gasket set. So yeah, that's definitely need to be replaced because we've been getting airflow. So then there's my new gasket set. And then you are going to want to clean up this surface. But then, yeah, there's your throttle body. Clean this all out. Gunk on the back there. And then I'm also going to replace this because I haven't replaced this yet. And it's easier to get to those screws with it off. So, alright, so yeah, I got the gasket set. So when I put it back on, I have to use the new gaskets. Alright, so now I got to take off the plenium. And then you got 1 bolt there, 2 bolts, 3 bolts, Well, there's those two. And then the one on the back there, and then alright, well I count 3 right now. I'm gonna have to find you that 4th one. Okay, so there's the plenium. There's 1 bolt, 2 bolts, 3 bolts, you see that one back in there? And then the 4th bolt's back down in there. So I think there's 4 holding this on. So crack them all loose. I can use my deep socket one here. This one I'm gonna need to get a short 8mm. And then I'll let you know what I use for these other 2. Yeah, those 2. And then you can see I got some buildup going on in there as I'm cleaning out right now. So I can get my 8mm 1/4 inch with like a short thing on that back one. That other one I did the same, got that one out. That one you can use a deep one. And then I haven't got to that yet. So just crank that one out. Alright, so yeah, with the short 8mm socket I can get it in there and crank it out. Enough room. So then that should be able to pull off next. Once you got your 4 bolts out, there's another gasket underneath there. It should just pull right out. And there's the gasket on there. And oil buildup. And that's looking kind of dirty down in there. So you want to cover that hole while you're cleaning stuff up here. But I do not like that. Don't like that. So that's how you get down to your plenium. And give this a good old clean in. So that's your EGR. Normally, if you have, I did this not too long ago, but this port can get plugged right there completely, and that'll throw code P0104 evap something or another. So to clean this whole port out, this is to clear. So then down here too, yeah, you gotta clean out all these ports on here. So spray this down with cleaner and get this all cleaned. Try and clean up as much as you can in there too. So that's how you get down to it. Just as a recap, this is a 2000 F150. So I was cleaning the throttle body. This is the throttle body. That's your throttle position sensor, which I am going to replace, which unscrews with those 2 bolts. And then so your throttle body, I showed you, you disconnected your speed control, and then your throttle cable, and then your spring. So then yeah, that turns to open up your throttle like that. So I'm cleaning this out outside the vehicle. And then this is your plenium. The plenium is what attaches right there. And I cleaned that up already. So then this sits, your plenium sits on your intake. So I'm cleaning this out right now. Those 2 ports on the bottom there, those come out here to your EGR, that 1 port. So the 1 port here comes into 2. So then I have a gasket set that comes with the square one that goes right here, that weird one that'll go on there, and then it's got one for your idle air control and your EGR. So yeah, when it's in there, your EGR is gonna sit right here. So yeah, that was already taken off. So that sits right here. And then your EGR valve, there's that pipe you took off, that goes to right here. And these ports get clogged up, causing code P401. So that's where that goes. And then So you have your 4 gaskets, one here, the one that goes on there, your one for your idle and your EGR. So I would get this valve kit. It's like 10 bucks before doing this, because even if you're just cleaning it, you could mess up your gaskets. So I'm just giving all this a really good cleaning right now. But that's kind of how it goes. And your parts. And you could swap these out. They're fairly cheap parts, but I'm just cleaning them. Hopefully it helps I was having my truck stalling out and kind of slugging when I'm giving it acceleration. So I'm thinking it's intake related, so I'm starting here. Okay, so this is like, it's like chugging. God damn it. I'm in reverse. And it's chugging. Now my fucking battery light's on. It's chugging harder. Still chugging. Now I'm at park. It's fucking chugging rough. God fucking damn it. Alright, so I just cleaned the air filter, the mass airflow sensor. I took off the throttle body, I took off the plenium, I took off the EGR valve, I took off the idle air control, cleaned out the EGR, cleaned out the idle air control, cleaned out the plenium. And now she's running even rougher. You hear that? My battery's on. Battery light's on. I can feel it shaking. And it sounds like it's gonna die. It's chugging. It's chugging. It's chugging. I hear something over here. She just picked back up. I disconnected the battery. Kind of hear air coming out right. I don't like that. Come on. So last night I changed the camshaft position sensor and the passenger rear downstream. So it starts up better. It doesn't rev right away. And then now once it kind of gets going, it starts back to chugging. And then it revs up to about 2,000. Back down to 1,000. Idling weird. I've already cleaned the idle air control. Now my battery light's coming on. And I'm hearing that hissing noise. I can hear the hissing noise from right here. Alright, so I'm testing. Those are the 2000 F150 4.6 liter, the 4x4. I'm testing the evap canister here. So what I did, I removed that black hose off of the canister. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to start it. I'm going to unplug the electrical. And then I'm going to feel right here for suction. So just kind of wet your finger. And then when you start it, and then if you feel any suction, then your canister is bad. So I'm going to get it all ready here. And then start it up here. I'm gonna get everything out of my way because it's running rough right now. So I'm just going in. I'm starting it. And then I'm gonna... Alright, so here is my evap canister. There's that white hose there that goes into this rubber hose. And then that rubber hose, connects into that metal hose, which runs down along there. So this rubber here looks pretty rough. So I could add just the rubber there, but also the pipe is pretty rusty. Kind of curved right down in there. I don't know why my ain't working right, but so yeah, the pipe curves. And then where's my flash? That's why. God damn it. All right, whatever. Oh. Then it comes down. Right, that's a pipe. You can follow it back up and check the condition of the metal part, and then it connects right into this grommet right here, which then connects into another one. So make sure this rubber hose here is in good condition. Alright, so I just replaced this rubber hose coming from the evap canister that goes into the back of the throttle body. Also on that white one there's that curved rubber piece I also replaced. So those two rubber hoses on the evap canister I replaced as part of my evap checking for a leak. So that's they were brittle, so I just replaced those two hoses. I'm gonna go start her up, see if there's any difference, which I doubt there will be, but for shits and giggles. Okay, there just died. That's even worse. Now my engine light's on, my battery light's on. I'm at about 1500 in park. I just changed them two hoses. Now it's revving up, revving down, up and down. So those two hoses did not fix my issue, and now my fucking light's on. Alright. Well, alright, that didn't work. Alright, so there's the canister, and then that white one right here, it goes into that rubber hose that, if you can see, it curves, like it does a little curve, and then it goes into that metal pipe, and then that metal pipe goes down underneath, back in there, that one right there. So follow that pipe. You can check it for leaks. That's metal. The rubber curve goes into the metal pipe that comes down by your driver's side wheel well. So that pipe comes down right here, and then it connects into this rubber splitter here. So you can check that rubber if you don't, check the metal if there's leaks, and then that rubber can get clogged up and brittle and break, and it can cause a leak. So then this pipe comes I'm getting something on me. So then it comes over, and then this is coming from your evap canister, and then it goes up over. That's your electrical, that's your pipe, and then it goes over, cuts over, and then where the fuck? I'm gonna have to pause, I don't even see it. Yeah, so you can see it comes over, it's pretty rusty. Then you got another rubber thing you could inspect, and then it's coming pretty rusty. Look at that. and then you could probably replace this with just rubber hose, and then it goes back. It's that nasty rusty one that goes back along the side of the gas tank here. That's the gas tank, and then this is still that one I'm following back up in here. So I'm on the side of the gas tank, and it's still running along in there. So then, see that rubber hose? That's going to be going to the canister. And then, this is the rear tire. So, follow back. I'm looking for the canister. So that's hanging there, which probably isn't good, because there's stuff in here. There should be. So that's my canister. And then it goes, so coming back from the canister, that's just fucking hanging, goes into that rubber hose, into that metal hose, and then, okay, so it goes into that rubber one, and that metal one on the wall there, and then it splits off into the gas tank, onto them vapor vents. So, there's this. Up in here, it splits off into, so yeah, this hose. There's a vent in here that I'm thinking could be bad. And I don't like how it's just hanging like that either. That could be why something caused something like that. So this is a brand new DPFE sensor. I had replaced this a while back. And then, actually when I had it in the shop at the mechanic, one of these plastic ones broke. So I threw on my original one that I took off for temporarily. So now I'm putting in this new DPFE sensor just because I have it and it's new. So it's pretty simple. You can always unplug the battery first when you're doing with electrical, and then unplug that clip here. And then, of course, there's going to be your plastic cover that you got to unscrew, but that's it. And then you just pull that off, push that in there on the side, and then remove that bolt and that bolt there and pull it off, swap it out, put in your new one. The one might just have a hook where you just only screw, or the one side hooks in and then screws in only on one bolt on one side, but pretty simple. This can help code P0401. If you have that code, that's the first thing I would change. But most likely is that EGR valve. See that bolt there? There's a port inside that EGR valve going to your throttle body that gets clogged. That you just gotta clean it out at the free fix, but it's just gotta take apart the intake. But this is about the DPFE. Alright, so I just replaced the DPFE sensor, those two hoses and the electrical connector, and then there's a nut back there and a nut right there. And get the battery all connected. And come on in. And I'm gonna start it up. And she rev. Now I'm at about 1200. Now I'm revving. My check engine light's still on now. Might have to check that code. Maybe that's good. It tripped a code, but I just unplugged the evap, so I'm idling really rough around 1,000, and I hear the hissing noise. Really rough idle, loud hissing, chugging. Just replaced the DPFE. I don't know, I hear fucking noise coming from this motherfucking thing, but I bought a new air filter. See that? I cut a fucking hole out of there to make room for this not to hit. I don't know, I already changed the air filter. She's not going back and forth as bad after replacing that. kind of still chugging, seems a little better. And I'm idling in park around 1,000. For shits and giggles, I'm gonna throw it in a gear. She definitely starts chugging harder when I throw her in gear. I'm at about 8,000 RPM in drive. Neutral, she's chugging in neutral. About 9,000. The gears are shifting fine. Chugging more in reverse. And this fucking battery light, oh, this kind of took a... I might read that code, but I'm pretty sure it's the EGR VAP code, but I got it clear. She's staying steady kind of around 9, but still chugging. Well, that was that. Alright, so I'm doing an EVAP inspection of like the plastic lines. So if you see here how those are like that orange, that red and the green. When they plug in, this is the EGR solenoid. But I'm gonna start over here at the canister, the EVAP canister. So yeah, there's these elbows get bad. So inspecting, making sure this isn't like snapped off here. So I'm checking that, and that hose is that curly one that comes into your harness here. That's that yellow one, and then you got the red one. The red one goes into your fuel pressure regulator, and inspecting that. The cable looks good. The elbow, there looks like a little crack there. Maybe I'm not getting fuel pressure. I'll have to look into that. And then it comes up into here. And then your EGR, this is the green one, goes on top. And then all three of those come into this coating, like this is a plastic covering them. And it comes here. And then you can see the green and the red go onto your EGR solenoid. And then, you know, I'm assuming that they're not bad in here. I'm not going to take that all the way off. And then it comes down. And then it's that one that goes up. And then over. And then those two are coming into this elbow. So I'm just kind of inspecting where they connect. I could look inside that elbow. And that came on and off fine. And then this one they cut over then here, following it, this one, and then it comes up, down, and then you got another one, another elbow right here. Could do a smoke test to get it better, and following it, you got your red one. This is for your 4x4. And then your green one, and then you got another yellow one that goes back into that harness that I can't reach to show you right now. But then, so yeah, the green one goes on that left one, and then the red right here. This is just a power wire. Those actually look all right from where I can see. And then yeah, so that's the EGR solenoid. They go in there too. So you want to check that harness. You can buy that whole harness with them connectors if you just want to replace it, but I don't know. I don't think that's where my issue is, so I'm on to the next. 2000 F150, the 4.6 liter. This is part of my intake vape or whatever leak. So this is the PCV valve. It goes into the passenger side valve cover, and then it connects to a rubber piece here. This rubber piece then connects, see that there? That's a metal pipe. So that metal pipe then There's a grommet here too, actually. If you want to be that grommet, you could even, I thought could have been my issue at one point. And then your valve, the grommet, and the valve goes in the grommet, and then that rubber hose, and then it connects to this metal hose. And then it's covered by this. And then it goes back. It's that one that takes in like a 90-degree, that bigger one. And then it comes back into the back of your throttle body or plenium. See that back in there? So it's the big hose. So this is what I'm inspecting now. Back in there. You can pull this off. And then pull out the PCV valve to completely remove this pipe if you really want to check it, which I'm at the point where I might do. Which I just had this off, and I didn't fucking think to check that before, but, yeah, if you're having an evap leak, you think, I would check that grommet, the PCV valve, and then make sure that hose is connected, and then, yeah, you always want to put that back on, and then if you can pull that off, and then check that pipe, you can pull it off, and then pull the whole pipe out if you want, and then check it out. That right there. So I might just do that here just to inspect it to see if that's my issue, because I've read that as part of the problem. I wish I would have done that when I had this all taken off. Would have been easier, but we'll see if I can get back there and reach and pull that off and get it out and inspect it. Alright, so that's my PCV valve. You should hear a noise like that rattling the ball inside. And then, so I'm going to take off, so this rubber piece, that's what goes in to the valve there. I should have covered that, but whatever, I'm going to do this quick. And then a pipe comes, oh, and that's what connects to the throttle body. So, I'm going to make sure this is all cleaned out. That's the PCV valve end. And I don't want to rip this whole thing off, but I think it's got to be good. I mean, that pipe, I don't know, it is bent up kind of here. I might cut it off and then tape it back on. But so then this end here, that's what plugs into the back of the throttle body there on that thing sticking out. And this doesn't really seem that great, or the connection. I don't know, I might buy this part and replace it. Looks pretty gunked up. Maybe that worth. I can do a smoke test maybe. That's what that part is though. We got airflow, and then it goes on there. All right, so there's the pipe. Looks all right. So yeah, maybe it's just this rubber connector I need. Put this sheet back on. Oh, I gotta figure out which way that went back. Alright, so what I just did was inspected the PCV valve connections. That big hose that goes back in there, back around. It comes into the throttle body. And then I also tighten these down and kind of readjusted them to see if there's any air getting through right there. So I'm going to test it here. See how there's going to be no change, but we'll see. And whoa, that got up to 2,500 there. And I'm in park, and I'm chugging, I'm down to 1,000, and I'm chugging. Go, now that might even be even fucking worse. Chugging, service light on, battery light on. Same thing with this hissing noise. Seems less now, but I cleaned that and I replaced it. There's that sensor here. Still chugging. That fan doesn't turn off. We got clearance. I feel air like right here on my hand, right here. I can't tell though if it's coming from the fan, but I don't feel it here or here, but like right here. Can't tell which way it's coming. Maybe there was gap right. So my battery light's on, and I'm reading 80% right now on this thing I bought. I haven't used it. I bought it a long time ago. I'm connected. Got the power on the power, and the ground on the ground, and I'm reading 80%. I'm gonna go crank it on. I would like to be film this here, but well, I'm cranking to see what it does, but I'm gonna see what I get. So started, that's good. And alternator is charger check. Alternator's like it's kind of dim compared to the other one. Battery went up to 100. Cranking check seems good. See, that alternator light seems dim. This thing might actually be telling me what's up. Yeah, it's pretty dim compared to the other. So I'm replacing the alternator. I got a new one on the way. Alright, so this is the air intake temperature sensor, and it's located on your intake, and it goes into this grommet right here. So you'll have to disconnect it and then use like a flat head to pop it out of there. And then just kind of inspect it, and then you're going to throw the new one right back in there. And that's what it looks like. So that sensor can go bad. That's what I'm changing here. Alright, so this is your throttle position sensor. It's held on by two Phillips screw heads, but these can start stripping. So, don't want to lose those. So there's these two bolts right here that hold on this bracket holding your DPFE. So remove those two, and then you can move this just enough to get, so this is where it goes, right in here. Oh, sorry. So yeah, it goes right in there, and then to get them Phillips heads, that bracket's blocking it. Oh, and you got to remove that hose. Move that hose and then unscrew that to get that bracket out of the way, so you can get at the two Phillips heads on there. It's pretty tight. Make sure you don't strip them. You could take it all the way off, the throttle body off, and plenium, but so there's the inside of it, which that looks pretty dirty. Might have to clean that up. Right, so I just replaced the air intake temperature sensor and the throttle position sensor, and let's see what she does. Alright, so I just unplugged the battery, so there shouldn't be any check engine lights on, and I'm still idling high about 1500. Seems to be staying at 1500 in park. And when I put it in drive, she's chugging hard. Staying at around 9,000 RPMs, but it's really chugging. Chugging, sounding like it's gonna die out. So neither of those help my problem. Fucking A. I put it back in park and then it revs. Now it's kind of chugging in park though still too. Sounded like it was gonna die there. going down. Fucking A. This is a 2000 F150, the 4.6 liter, the 4x4. I'm replacing the blower motor resistor. There's a plug that gets plugged into here, and then there's just 2 bolts, and it's located underneath your glove box on the passenger side. And then you got this black thing here, and then you can see I have the wire unclipped, and then it's just right there, and there's them 2 bolts, one on each side, 8mm. You gotta just remove, unclip it, and then remove those bolts and just swap it out. Pretty easy. So now I'm testing these relays. I had a new one, and these are all the same relays, so I can swap it out, and if it changes, then I know it could be a relay issue. The 2 main relays I'm worried about is the AC compressor relay and the fuel pump relay, which you can get a diagram, but since I'm here, I'm just pulling them all out and seeing if I got any change. So that's the one I pulled out, and then put that in. Remember where you pulled it out of, so that's this one here. And then I'm gonna test it and see if I have any change. So I've changed all the other relays. This is the last one of that type. And I'm still have my idling issue. So I don't think it's a relay issue. Idling rough, standing at about 1,000, rough, chugging, sounds like it's gonna die. Idles down a little. No check engine light. So I think my issue with the stalling might be compressor related. There's the compressor. It's currently not engaging, and I checked the fuse and the relay and the diode, but I'm gonna bypass the AC compressor to eliminate my problem. I got a belt for 30 bucks, and I'm taking off the original belt. The original belt's 8 groove on this. It's 8 groove, and then you're gonna be bypassing the pulley. So I always just like to get that in there and push it towards the driver's side, and then remove that off of there, and then start taking your belt off. I like to pull it off there first. Fuck, my damn thing slid out on me and I banged my elbow. This fucking thing. Alright, so I took it off there, and then the rub side goes around the water steering pump pulley, and then bottom side goes around the fan one, and then that hooks the flat side, and then the rib side back over the crankshaft pulley, and then it's pulling it up with the flat side on this side of the pulley here. And then, so then, yeah, this is going to be on that side of the idler pulley. And then yeah, then it's still, so it goes under the flat, under the pulley, down around the AC. I'm gonna get this fucking pipe out of the way. And then, yeah, so the rib side's flat, and then it comes up through the idler tensioner, the flat side to that round pulley. So for the original belt, underneath those the two smooth idler ones, you want to like push this down in between them to get it behind the tensioner arm to hook on to the AC compressor. So they go kind of push this like that and feed it in between them two pulleys behind the tensioner to hook onto the AC compressor. So this is the 2000 F150, the 4.6 liter, the 4x4. What I am doing is I took out the original serpentine belt, and then I got this one from the Daryl guy on YouTube who said this belt works. It's the 20 millimeter by 2061 millimeter, or 13/16 inches by 81 1/8 inch. So this one here, the 6 means the 6th rib, the first one. So this is a 6 rib belt, and this pulley here, this is a pulley that came with my water steering pump, but it was mine. The belt is an 8 one, so my belt's a little wider. I might replace this if this length works. I might go back and get the 8 rib one, but they said the casing on this top idler pulley rubs, but I think that was just on the 5/4 though, so I shouldn't have to really worry about my belt rubbing. And also note that this is a smooth pulley, and on this pulley the rib side is going to be going down, so you can replace this. I might eventually, but I'm just checking it out right now to see if it works. But you're going to be bypassing the AC compressor, and then you want to get it around that crankshaft first, and then that Daryl dude also provided the diagram. So that's your AC, so you're just going to be bypassing that. And that's your power steering pump, I think your water pump, your alternator. So I'm going to start feeding it in there. The length, yeah, hopefully this is the right length, but that's what it looks like. So I don't know, I'll just leave it going here for a second. So yeah, I just got like the rib side down, and it's kind of, he says to wrap it around the crankshaft first. Get it on there good. Well, it's kind of hard to show you. Alright, so I got the belt on. The length of that worked out pretty good. I got pretty good tension on the belt, and I'm wrapped around the alternator. So see, this has the ribs facing down on this smooth pulley, but it should be all right. I'm gonna measure this pulley, and a few other people posted the part number, but I didn't quite find it. And then it goes behind this, over the top of your idler pulley, down under your crankshaft, ribs facing the crankshaft. Then it goes around the crankshaft, then up under here, rib side up. Make sure this is flush. I got all of them, since it's not the whole 8, or the 8, I have them all on the front of the grooves on like the power steering pump. It's on the front, the belt. As you can see there, how it's, yeah, I have them all towards the front on the crankshaft too. So I'm gonna start it up. I'm not sure if the key's in here. All right, well, another issue that could be causing is a clogged cat or a bad catalytic converter. As you can see here, I had this patched with some putty, and I got a pretty good hole here. I don't know if we can see in there. So I don't know if this is getting air and not letting me, is messing with my idle. And then the back one here looks pretty good. There's a way you can test the cats with my pressure by putting in a gauge in the O2 sensor spots. The back one's pretty easy to get to on the driver's side here. I'm on the driver's side. And then the one up here, it's pretty tight to get to, and that's in there pretty good. So to test it, you got to get to those. But what I'm doing here now is I'm adding this JB weld. I'm going to try and patch up as much of this here as I can and see if that changes kind of my rough idling, if my cats are causing part of the issue. So over here, I was having oil dripping on this cat up here, and I think that could be part of my issue. The back cat on the side looks good too, so this front one looks good except for that pipe up there. I don't know if it's dripping down into it, but then yeah, the O2 sensor up there is pretty tough to get to, especially when it's rusted in there. So I added this muffler weld on here. Best result is to like use sandpaper or wire brush and clean it up before applying it, and then you want to get it damp, so just wet like a towel and just get it a little damp before you apply it, and then just smear it on there, cover them holes. So see if this makes any difference. I also added a little over here, it's kind of hard to see, on the passenger side there, up even on the pipe a little. See if this helps. Alright, so I disconnected the brake booster and the check valve, and that plugged into the EGR, and I plugged in a vacuum gauge, try to make sure it's airtight. So I'm gonna start it and see if I have vacuum. Alright, so start it up, it goes up to like 2500, and then slowly goes back down. It's chugging. So I have the brake booster, so it's pretty stiff with the brake booster not plugged in. So there's definitely a difference with the brake booster plugged in. I'm gonna let it build up, maybe see if it build up a little more pressure. Okay, so I see no pressure change on this. I don't know if this thing is bad or what, or if I have it. So this 45-degree elbow was pretty rough. So I bought a new one. It was like 20 bucks. A lot of people said this could be the fix. I just figured since this one was in pretty bad shape, you can see it's cracking and stuff, I'm just gonna replace it. The pipe seems to be fine though, so I'm gonna leave the pipe. So I'm just checking my oil level and oil color right now just cause the dipstick's over here. So I like to pull it out and then get a reading. It's kind of hard, it's just under the max. We got a lot of light going on here. Yeah, these can be difficult to read sometimes, but you can see that bottom hole's filled and that top hole's not, and it's not quite to that. So that's just hello. So I'm cleaning it off right now, And then I'm just throwing it back in because the engine's cold right now. So I put it in and then read. I'm like pretty good. I'm just under the max. And the color looks like oil. So I'm sitting all right on oil level. I'm just gonna throw that back in, just something to knock off, make sure it's checked. And then like at the same time, I check my coolant, make sure our coolant has a coolant level sign, and could be a little off. So might a little, you know, if you check yours often, you know your level, you know if you're losing any, if it could be coolant related, your issue. Alright, so I disconnected the brake booster and the check valve, and that plugged into the EGR, and I plugged in a vacuum gauge, try to make sure it's airtight. So I'm gonna start it and see if I have vacuum. Alright, so start it up, it goes up to like 2500, and then slowly goes back down. It's chugging. So I have the brake booster, so it's pretty stiff with the brake booster not plugged in. So there is definitely a difference with the brake booster plugged in. I'm gonna let it build up, maybe see if it build up a little more pressure. Okay, so I see no pressure change on this. I don't know if this thing is bad or what. Or if I have... Huh. So I'm replacing the vapor canister purge valve. Mine, when I got the new one, it didn't come with the two green and white plastic ends. So I had to take them off the old one and then put them on the new one. And then I replaced the hose going to the throttle body, and then that white hose that connects going to the rear. So replace those two. You don't have to replace the hoses, but I just did to eliminate my problem. And then there's the vacuum here hose that plugged in to that, like facing down. So yeah, you gotta plug that back in, and then you got these two bolts that you gotta unbolt, and then your electrical you gotta plug in. I found it easiest to unscrew it to get at the hoses, so you can wiggle it around a little more with it unbolted, otherwise it's hard to get at them hoses. And then yeah, just make sure to replug the electrical back in, and that bottom vacuum line I'm gonna plug in after I got it bolted back up. I think they're 8mm. But yeah, that's what it looks like. It was $70 online and at AutoZone or O'Reilly's or whatever. Alright, so I just replaced the vapor canister purge valve. Let's see what it does here. Alright. So it fires up to 2500. And it's erratic idle, high idle, chugging. I haven't put my foot on the brake yet, so I don't think the brake is causing it. It's chugging really hard. When I put it into reverse, it started chugging harder. In neutral, it's erratic idle. And then when I put it in drive, it's chugging really hard. I mean, it pulls forward. So it, I mean, it chugs in all park, reverse, neutral, and drive. Alright, so I'm testing the spark plugs on my 2000 F150, and then instead of this being a 90, the one I have in there just goes straight. It doesn't turn up like that. So it's got that connector in there. That one's kind of bent, you see. That's not good. You want it straight. So this end is going to plug into your spark plug, but I got it in there already. And then this plug goes in and makes connection with your ignition coil. So then, yeah, you're gonna put this in your ignition coil and then put this one in on your spark plug on all 8 of them, because they're the V8. And then you gotta get your connectors plugged in too. So I have a different one in there. So my keys are in there. So if you can see, there's the coil. I got it just kind of sitting there right now, and I got it plugged in. There's not a lot of room. It's plugged in right there, so there's not a lot of room to get that tester in there. And then you really got to get the other end of that tester on the spark plug down in the hole. So yeah, make sure you got connection, and then when you turn on your car, that should light up as your gas goes. So I'm gonna start it up and see if I get light coming right behind that plug there. So make sure everything's out of the way when I start it. And I'm just gonna hop in here quick and see. My fucking keys aren't in there. Okay. Alright, so I'm inspecting the transmission here, specifically the torque converter. I see it dripping. All right, so I'm listening at the tank. I got the gas cap off, and then after turning the ignition, you should hear the water pump making a noise through here like a few seconds after you start it. Ooh, go ahead. Yep, I could hear it. And then start it. 4.6 liter 2000 F150 4x4. I'm inspecting the coil packs right now. It's an 8 V8, so there's 4 on the passenger side and then 4 on the driver's side. So this one right here, not sure exactly what bank number it is, but I'm just inspecting the outside. See where that screw is? It screws into there. And then the plastic housing there. Focus. See that? That's the first one. And then the electrical. And make sure that's plugged in. And then here's the second one. And then, if you can see from the top here, try and zoom in. Hard to get the camera on it, but this is cracked, the housing right there. See that? That housing's cracked. So that means there's probably moisture getting in, which could be ruining this coil pack. So then there's your third. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom back out. So that's your first one. And then your second one with the cracked right there behind that wire. And then the third is right there. I'm gonna have to put the camera down to inspect it, and then your fourth. So if you see cracking on the housing like that one, yeah, that's gonna need to be replaced. All right, so I just turned it on. And I'm gonna come back here on the back side and checking out the smoke. That looks like white grayish smoke coming out. I did add a little seafoam, but yeah, it's not black, but it's more white gray. Erratic acceleration or erratic idle. Alright, so I just replaced the vapor canister purge valve. Let's see what it does here. Alright. So it fires up to 2500. And it's erratic idle, high idle, chugging. I haven't put my foot on the brake yet, so I don't think the brake is causing it. It's chugging really hard. When I put it into reverse, it started chugging harder. In neutral, it's erratic idle. And then when I put it in drive, it's chugging really hard. I mean, it pulls forward. So it chugs in all park, reverse, neutral, and drive. So yeah, just take your throttle body cleaner, clean out all the ports, straight in there. And then, yeah, these are your it's your EGR port. You gotta get in there too. And just clean this out as good as you can. So, this is what it's looking like underneath my plenium into my intake. I got some build up here. And trying to, hopefully some seafoam cleans a little bit of that out. Just checking it out. There's a little oil drip in the PCV. There's that pipe, EGR pipe, goes down back in there. Alright, so F150. And this is my garage. And so these are the parts. I replaced the alternator because as I was working on the idling issue, my battery light came on. And then sure enough, I got an alternator for 80 bucks online, and then it turned my battery light off, which was an unrelated issue. Then I had a code P0113, and this is the air intake temperature sensor for the Ford, the 4.6. It's also called like a manifold temperature sensor. It's got the two plugs, your plug right there, and then your sensor. I replaced that and did not solve my problem. This is the DPFE sensor. This is the old one. I had a new one with plastic ones before this happened, and it broke. So they gave me a new one, and then I had it lying around in this intake part, so I replaced it with a new one, and that did not solve my problem. This is a blower motor resistor. My fan did not turn off. My fan does not turn off now on my F150. It just keeps spinning, and people say that's common, but mine used to turn off and then it would turn on randomly, like when the engine needed it. And this is inside underneath the cab, so that's inside your cab. Also, people say the camshaft position sensor. I got a new one of these, and that did not solve my problem. This is your PCV valve that goes into the passenger side on the 4.6 liter, and I replaced this, and this has a hose that problems come bad on, but I inspected that hose too, so I don't think it's that hose. This is a throttle position sensor. I replaced that. This was like 20, and that did not solve my problem. This I had just replaced before my problem occurred, probably like 6 months prior, so I don't think the new one of this is bad. This is your idle air intake control. I replaced this, the new one. I cleaned out the one that's having issues now, and then I also tried replacing it with this one. And I also did the disconnecting the electrical of that to see if there would be any change in the engine, which did not solve my problem. This is the EGR I replaced, and these ports get clogged up, as you can see, but I have a new one in there that's like 6 months old, and it should not be clogged, but I cleaned out the ports also, but I did not replace this. I did do the test where you undo this vacuum hose, and if you hear any difference, it could be your EGR, and I did do that, and I did not hear a difference, so I don't think it's that. This could be my problem. The AC clutch I replaced, and it was the AC gap between this was too close on the new one. This is the old one, and I think it might have messed up the AC compressor, which is messing up the belt and messing up my I think I might have an AC issue. I think I might have a leak. Um, that was replaced like a month prior to my issues, and now I'm suspecting that it's this damn. And if anybody tells me to check the motherfucking mass airflow sensor, I bought a damn new one at the store and replaced it along with the air filter. I'm hearing a hissing noise, and I just bought the air filter, and my hood is hitting the air filter, and I thought it was messing it up and messed up my air filter and bringing stuff in through the intake. And that was my initial thing. So I bought a brand new air filter. I went to O'Reilly's, got a new mass airflow sensor. This is my old one. I even tested the bolts on these get pretty bad. So I bought a new mass airflow sensor and filter from the stores, and I ended up returning them because it did not solve my problems. I unplugged the battery before and all that. So yeah. Oh, yeah. And then I replaced the downstream passenger side O2 sensor because I had previously just replaced the downstream driver side passenger O2 sensor. And then also these two hoses here come off the purge valve canister. It's like at the truck, it's back towards the fire engine of the driver's side. And then there's two hoses that come off of it. This one actually goes kind of like more like that. And then this connects to the throttle body. And then this hose comes off the other one and goes back towards your canister, towards the back of the truck. So I've inspected it to here and to there. And then I took off the throttle body. And then that's like the throttle body gasket and another fucking plenium gasket. So, not a happy camper. Fucking truck serves two purposes: pull my camper and pulling deer, but thing's a piece of shit, I'll tell you that.